Simscale tutorial. So we have a quick run through of how to put a 3D model into Simscale to do structural analysis. For example, I have this pipe. This pipe model was built into Simscale, and I applied a force on the side, and you can see the results of the displacement and the stress. So for example, if this was a part fixed at the bottom, and I can explain how fixed means versus pinned versus roller as a boundary condition and what all that means. But basically, if you hold it fixed at the bottom and you apply a force at the top, it becomes like a cantilever. You can see this bend to the side because we're applying a force to the side in this x direction. You can see the axes at the bottom. I actually did this upside down, but this x-axis is pointing to the right, so I'm pushing it towards the right, and I'm changing the scaling factor so you can see it actually deflect. So this is a displacement, my visualization, and I changed the units here. This is displacement in the x direction. You can also go with the magnitude, but in general, like, you can change this to the unit. I have millimeters. You can see that it deflects 1.651 millimeters, and if you look in the x direction, 1.437 millimeters, and I'm applying a force. So we go back to how this is set up. From the top, you can choose a model. I chose this model that was built in, and once you do that, you make it into a static analysis and then put the boundary conditions. So on the top left, you pretty much go from the top to bottom. You choose the material for the part. I selected all of them and chose ABS plastic. So this is made up of multiple parts. Maybe your 3D model is one solid piece or multiple pieces. So I chose ABS plastic, and that material choice will affect your analysis. Then go to boundary conditions, and here you can choose the plus sign. So I chose a fixed support, and then you choose the face of that support. So click on fixed, and let's say you want to fix a whole surface. That means this doesn't move at all. You can imagine it as glued down to like the ground. So we can fix the top and bottom, and that will be as if the whole thing is glued at the top and bottom. But I'm going to clear that. I only fixed one side of it for the purpose of this explanation. And you can add, so I'm going to delete this one. You can add a force. So I added a force at the bottom, applied to the side of this. So click on here and choose force, and then the direction of that force and the surface. So I saw that this x-axis is where I can apply a force, and I chose the surface, and I put down a number. So I changed it to pound force, and I believe I did a couple thousand pounds. So if I delete this thing I just made, I did 2,000 pounds of force. So if this was ABS plastic, applying 2,000 pounds of force, it would deflect a millimeter or so. And Simscale does all of the mesh analysis and makes sure that it, like, you're creating this mesh on top of your surface, which will simulate like all these different elements coming together and then creating a global result. So from this run, it says it took 4 minutes. You can figure out the stresses happening in your model. I think I can change it here. This strain and stress in PSI is helpful. So you can tell it's on the very low end of stress here. I'm going to scale back the displacement. to like a 1, so it's not exaggerated. Alright, so you can see the PSI stress on each portion of the thing. Because the material is selected, you would also know if it's going to fail or not. And in your analysis, you can compare like the PSI that a material can handle. So if you're doing 3D printed plastic, you can put ABS or PLA and see how much stresses is happening at a certain part. Alright, hope that helps.